Item number 5 is the consent agenda. We have a motion on that.
I'll move.
Don moved.
I'll second.
Okay, Judy second. Any discussion? Then we'll vote.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye. Item 6, action items. Consider and take action to approve or not approve the following items. 6.1, discuss and take action on the following district financial reports.
Motion to approve the financial report.
Second.
Any discussion? Then we'll vote.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
6.2, consider and take action on the district budget for fiscal year 18.
I'll make a motion for 6.2.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We'll vote.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
6.3, consider and take action on appointment by the board for the following positions for 2017 and 2018 school year. Brenda Story, Jan Miller, and Leanne Allen.
Yeah, motion to approve 6.3.
Second,
I can second it.
any discussion? We'll vote.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
6.4, vote to approve or disapprove resolutions for schools and libraries universal services for 17-18.
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We'll vote.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
6.5, consider and take action on proposed unpaid meal charge policy. Jeff? One-armed Jeff.
I know it. Get used to it. Seems to happen every 5 years. So, as last month, we discussed the need to do this, and so we had to have this as a policy by July 1st. Surprisingly enough, your approval tonight will probably give a lot of school districts in Oklahoma their policy too, because they're waiting to see if ours pass. So, it is the intent of it is to establish a process and procedure to handle unpaid meal charges. Now, we went into the lunch shaming and those types of things, and we kind of cleared that up and discussed those. But what it does is Section 143 of the Healthy and Hungry Fit Kids Act of 2010, it was amended last year to require us to have this policy so districts can be able to deal with unpaid meal charges. And we briefly discussed how that occurs. One part of it in the policy that you have, it said students who qualify for free meals will not be denied a reimbursable meal even if they have accrued a negative balance on the cafeteria account. A lot of times a debt occurs with a free student because the family does not complete applications or finds a way to qualify for free meals. Each year you have 30 days, 30 school days that you have where you stay on last year's status. After that, then the system, our software system throws, if you have not completed an app, again, then it throws you out, or you're not direct certified. Direct certified is through many means of qualification through the State Department of Human Services. So there are so many ways a family can qualify for a free meal. All they have to do is apply. And if it's not free, then it's reduced. So that 1A and 1B says if they have the same thing for the free or reduced. That means we will not serve a meal to a student who is free, even if they owe money, even if they're reduced, they owe money. When I started putting this policy together, the USDA didn't even have a template. So this is all I created based on the tenets of what they said it had to include. So it's kind of interesting to see what we come up with. So students will be allowed to charge meals depending on circumstance. In this case, a student meal debt of $30 is considered excessive. The USDA mandate said we had to name what was excessive, and so I came to 30. That's a reasonable amount to say it's excessive. That comes into play later on.
Based on like $2 a meal?
If it's, what they do is they go to full price, and so it depends on their site's full price, or their grade level's full price. Elementary has one price, elementary, east and west have one price, high school has another price.
Goes about two and a quarter.
It's about $2.50. So, and if they have 2 meals a day, then it can accrue up, but
2 weeks they're going to be there.
yeah, so, but debt always also occurs when they're full priced. So, and typically by the time we get through the process, we're about at 60. So, but 30 at least gives us a little teeth to collect something, or try to collect something. And so the requirement law then took us to how we communicate the policy. The policy is we post it on our website. We also have it in our student information packets. It's communicated to all division staff by the way we communicate everything else. And then it specifically talks about the training that we give our staff. And so this will be part of our back-to-school training when we start next year. As we get into the notification of the household of the lower negative balance in student cafeteria, I will add one thing. All student balances are online. A parent can go, whether they're free, reduced, full price, they can go in and see what their balance is and what their students are purchasing. It's there. But I can't go in there for them. Now, I can look up their balances, we can look up their balances, but a parent can actually take interest and go in and look at what their kids are eating, where they're eating, what lines they're eating in, what they're getting every day. They have to take the initiative to do that. So the 5 steps we have there, student's household will be notified when the student's balance is $30. We'll do it before that. But this is where we start getting a little bit of teeth. The School Food Service Authority, that's the SFA, will either notify by letters, or a lot of the elementaries we'd send it home in their folders, or sent by email or other methods. That could be hand-delivered to the car. We have one principal that does that. So notifications to households will include the amount, unpaid meal charges, expected payment dates, and consequences of non-payment, where to go for questions. The consequences of non-payment will be determined on a case-to-case basis. So if someone comes to us and they said, you know, we've had medical emergency in our family, we make enough money, but cash flow is kind of rough right now, and we work with them. We work with them on every scenario. We don't get paid until the first of the month. We work with them. It's when they don't respond and don't respond and don't respond and don't care to respond, or they tell me, don't feed my kids. And I've been told that a lot. It's your problem if you fed them. Then if I don't feed them, then it's my problem too. So, and then the last one, the person responsible for managing unpaid meal charges are child nutrition school staff. It's not the line people, it's not the cashiers, it's the management team and the secretaries at the site. And then also our staff at our office, we do a lot of debt collection and calls, and then site administrators will be involved in the contacting, because on the elementary and east and west, we involve the principals in collecting. We do all of that before we send a notice to say that you will no longer be able to, that you need to provide a lunch and a breakfast for your child. We go to great extent. In fact, we spend way too much time and resources trying to collect here. And so it breaks our heart. This is not what we want to do. I was in Washington, D.C. last week and spent a long time talking about this subject. And the bottom line is the parents, the guardian, has full control over the situation if they choose to. If they don't, then we figure something out for them. Now, the thing that gets kind of sticky in all this is the new USDA rule says that at the end of the school year, if there's any balances, that the district, not the child nutrition program, is responsible for the payment. this is what the USDA says. And so I understand what that means, and I understand how that'll be handled. But, it was designed because so many districts said feed the kids no matter what, and then it became a liability for the child nutrition program. I'm happy to announce that last week I said that we were at 15,000 of unpaid. We ended the year under 10,000. So I think a lot of people were starting to get the message on this. And so they made us define what bad debt is. And bad debt is defined as delinquent debt that is deemed uncollectible at the end of the school year. At that point, the local district is responsible for the payment. Again, I realize how that will happen. I know exactly how that will happen. So, but we have to have a collaborative effort between myself and, in this case, Brenda, or her designate, to evaluate all the delinquent debt for the conversion to bad debt. Once it's converted to bad debt, it's taken off the books. So the student will not start the year with a debt. This is crazy. The whole thing is crazy. I'm saddened by the fact that we actually have to have a policy that addresses this. One loophole in it is, even though it will not be, we can still collect the following year. We just can't withhold meals until they get another debt. So there's a lot of confusion on whether or not, once the debt's erased, we won't ever see the money. Yeah, you can still collect, you can still try to collect, you can do a lot of things, but you can't withhold meals for starting the next calendar year. So, in a $3.6 million budget, under 10,000 is not a huge deal. But as we had many conversations, if we say we're not going to collect debt, then I guarantee your debt next year will be 25 to 30,000. Just simply because people will say, if I don't have to pay, I won't pay. And we have a lot of parents who say we're not paying. Not my problem. My kids should get free meals. I don't think they should have to pay for them in the school. Not my problem. And that's upsetting to me, that they don't take responsibility, but it's not anything that we aren't already dealing with district-wide in many other areas that aren't about child nutrition. So, and then it goes over the collection procedures for delinquent and bad debt and the adverse action, and that's required by the statute. So, interesting process. I feel I lost a couple days of my life, but it's what it is what it is, and we have a policy that meets the criteria. I had the state look at it, and they don't know what it's supposed to look like, so they're kind of waiting to see what we come up with. So, any questions that I can just muddle the water with some more? We will work with the families. We will do everything we can. We will spend a lot of time. We will be very proactive on debt. We will be very proactive on getting people to complete the application. There's so many ways you can complete the application, and there's so many ways through direct certification. Only 41% of our district students qualify by direct certification. That's by the state assessment of other state agencies' programs that qualify them, and that can be anything from WIC to food stamps to other areas. So if they qualify there, then they can qualify. It's 5 categories. So if they can qualify there, they qualify. They don't even have to fill out an application. It's that gap, or it's the inability to have enough wherewithal to complete an application. But you can do it online, you can do it on paper, you can do it at office, you can do it at school. We can do it for you. There's so many different ways. Any other questions other than just, why did I waste your time with this? So,
You did a good job.
Motion to approve 6.5.
Motion's been made.
All right.
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
I assume you're not going to get your magic marker out and write it on a kid's arm.
oh, well, that's funny because there was a school that did that, and I knew the director. And I asked her about that. And she said, I had instructions from the parents, if they need lunch money, just write it on their hand. That's the only way I'm going to get it. So, I mean, it was that innocent. But boy, it made Tulsa news.
It made
Yeah.
national news.
Yeah, it was real embarrassing. But that was the parents' instructions for them. If they're low, write it on their arms. And you got to remember that a lot of times these people in the cafeterias, especially in the smaller communities, they've been there for ages. And they're like grandmas or great-grandmas, and that seemed like just a pretty good thing to do. So, you know, that way the child knows. So,
Thanks, Jeff. We'll vote.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye. 6.6, consider and take action on proposed change in board policy, Family and Medical Leave Act, all employees.
Shelley, why don't you come up and explain to the board the change we're making and why?
Employers have 4 methods in which they can measure FMLA, and FMLA is 12 weeks of paid protected leave that can run concurrently with their paid leave as well. And currently, we measure a rolling 12-month period measured backward. So, for example, let's say one of our employees who was eligible for FMLA requested 2 weeks of leave November 1. So as an employer, we would look back at the leave, the FMLA leave that they had taken since the previous November 2nd. And let's say they requested two weeks leave November 1, and we determined that they had taken 11 weeks. We would allow 1 more week, FMLA, paid or unpaid, depending on the leave we have. So bottom line is, it's quite a process, and we have to keep files on every employee who requests FMLA. The employer can choose a calendar year, January through December, any fixed 12 months, and that's what we're requesting you to consider, July 1 through June 30th, a 12-month period measured forward, or a rolling 12-month period measured backward, which is our current policy. And the reason that we're requesting this is, as you know, you approved new time and attendance software a couple of months back, and it tracks FMLA. And we are going live with that software on July 1, and it would just make sense that we measure our FMLA from July 1 to June 30th so that our software could track that. By law, we had to give notification to our employees 60 days in advance, and we sent out a memo that we were going to request that from the board, request the policy change, and to let them know that this could happen. If someone needs to request FMLA before that 60-day period, which is July 24th, we have to by law, and we would give them the FMLA benefit that would benefit them the most. So basically, this is just a matter of convenience. We had discussed changing our period of the way we cover FMLA, establish that 12-month period. And it is by board policy, so it requires a board policy change. Any questions?
Thank you.
Motion?
Yes,
I'll make
motion
a
approved,
motion.
6.6.
I'll second.
Okay. Any more discussion? All right, we'll vote.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
6.7, consider and take action on school site statutory deregulation applications for library media services for West Middle School and Roosevelt Elementary School.
There's a second one. There's a second one also.
Oh, I'm sorry,
On the
B.
next page.
Deregulation from OAC 210 35-571 for Roosevelt Elementary School.
Would you like me to talk about this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've deregulated in the past with our librarians, and when we had our accreditation report, we staff our libraries based on the number of students at the site, and our accreditation officer told me that we likely needed to deregulate at West. The numbers call for a full-time librarian and a half-time assistant. We're just the opposite with Cynthia Winterrode's retirement. We hired her back at part-time. And then our numbers last year at Roosevelt were such that they would require a full-time librarian. Currently, we split with Roosevelt and Garfield. And it requires a statutory waiver from the state and has to be state board approved. But we've done this with other librarians. The benefit to doing this is oftentimes we'll hire a library monitor who is there all day, so someone's there all day, so the students can check out books. And that's how it is with West. So they have a full-time library assistant who is there all day.
We have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion's been made, second.
I'll second it.
Second. Any discussion? We'll vote.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
6-8, consider and take action to accept low bids for the baseball field improvements in the amount of $127,291.
Motion to approve.
Motion's been
6.8.
made.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? We'll vote.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
6-9, consider and take action to accept low bid for the fine arts safety corridor in the amount of $153,610.
Motion to approve the corridor, 6.9.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I assume, Don, you saw the prints from the meeting the other day and you're happy with it now?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Any other discussion? We'll vote.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop? Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
6-10, consider and take action to accept guaranteed maximum price for the fine arts safety corridor in the amount of $195,000.
Motion to approve, 6.10.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? We'll vote.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop? Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye. 6-11, consider and take action on the following contract agreements. A, agreement with Page Masters Website Design and Development for district website. B, agreement with Loftus and Wetzel for commercial insurance package renewal through Oklahoma Schools Insurance Group as recommended by the superintendent. C, agreement with United Systems to provide Lightspeed and Internet filter software program. D, an agreement with Linda B. Johnson for psychoeducational service for 17-18. E, agreement with Edmonton for Study Island and Reading Egg software for 17-18. F, ratification of contract with CenterPoint Energy and is a third-party natural gas provider for the district. G, agreement with Renee Miller to provide certified visual impairment service for the district. H, agreement with Wilson Dobson Associate to provide an annual audit of financial affairs and transactions of all funds and activities in the district. I, renewal with Oklahoma Schools Assurance Group for workman's comp insurance. J, renewal of agreement with Kimino LLC for zone integration service. K, renewal of agreement with Pinnacle Business System for WMware licensing. L, agreement with Nextivia to provide phone service.
I'll move to approve 6-11, and believe it or not, we talked about every one of those contracts in the finance meeting.
Yeah, we did.
Don and I quizzed them on every one of them.
All right.
We were tired when it was over.
Any discussion?
Second.
All right, we'll vote.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop? Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
6:12, motion and vote to convene an executive session if desired for the following purposes: to discuss the possible termination, reassignment, resignation, and employment of personnel on the attached detailed personnel report, to review applications, discuss applicants, and discuss the employment of superintendent, and discuss confidential conversation with the board's attorney concerning pending claims and litigation. So we have a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll move that we adjourn to executive session or
Second.
convene.
All right. Then, do we need to vote or just say all?
Yes.
Vote.
Mrs. Troop.
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mr. Riley.
Aye.
We'll be back in 6 hours.
The good Dr. Chalk.
Okay, we're going to return to open session. 6:14, minutes of the next session will be kept by minutes clerk and the school board attorney and will remain confidential. 6:15, consider and take action on recommendation for termination, reassignment, resignation, employment of personnel.
In addition to page 123, 126, I make the motion that we hire Shelley Arrett as the next superintendent of schools, effective July 1st, 2017, in addition to the personnel report that was already published.
Is there a second?
I second
Oh,
it.
I'll second. Oh,
Uh-oh, me.
yeah.
Any
Which
discussion?
one?
All right, let's vote.
Okay. Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop.
Aye.
Superintendent, any new business?
You already took care of your new business.
All right, we need a motion for adjournment.
I'll motion that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 We are adjourned.
Congratulations. Woo!